Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of On the Case with Alex Cardinelli. I'm your host, Detective Alex Cardinelli. Today, I'm going to talk about a crime that definitely rocked the United States of America. At one point in time, this was the most deadliest mass shooting in the United States history. Now, I'm not sure if this still is the most deadliest mass shooting or if it's in second place, but it definitely shook America at the time of the mass shooting. Today, I'm going to talk about the 2017 Las Vegas mass shooting that was committed by 64-year-old Stephen Paddock. At the time, this was one of the worst mass shootings that the United States of America has ever seen. Over 50 people were killed and over 800 people were injured. So we're talking about 850 people's lives who were forever changed. I will never forget the day that this tragedy happened. It was all over the news. I could not change a news channel without seeing reports on this mass shooting. And unfortunately, in this day and age, it seems that mass shootings are becoming a regular occurrence. So that's why I was a little bit skeptical of calling this the deadliest in United States history, because I've got a feeling that it's already been surpassed. But after today's episode, I'll do research and find out the definitive answer. So today I am going to discuss everything you need to know about this case. I'm going to talk about the perpetrator, the suspect in this case, Stephen Paddock. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the mass shooting, and then we will talk about the crime. And then I'm going to bring on my crime analyst, Michael Petty. Michael Petty made his debut last Monday night, and he gave his thoughts on Richard Farley. Tonight, Michael Petty is going to come on here and give his thoughts on the 2017 mass shooting that was committed by Stephen Paddock. Also, Michael is going to tell us what to do if we ever find ourselves in a mass shooting situation. So we've got an action-packed episode of On the Case with Alex Cardinelli this week, so let's get started. Before I start, I would like to mention, if you're watching this video live or you're catching a replay of this video, please feel free to share your thoughts on this case in the comments. What are your thoughts on the Stephen Paddock shooting case from 2017? Post them in the comments and share your true thoughts and opinions of this horrific crime scene. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, it's one of the worst that I'm ever going to talk about. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by discussing what there is to know about this particular case. So what to know? Let's get right into it, shall we? So the perpetrator, Stephen Paddock, was a 64-year-old former auditor and real estate businessman who had been living 80 miles northeast of Las Vegas in a retirement community in Mesquite, Nevada. He was twice divorced, had a long-time girlfriend, and had no known children. He was son of Benjamin Paddock, a bank robber who was on the FBI's most wanted list between 1969 and 1977. So I guess when your father is wanted by the FBI for being a bank robber and a career criminal, then I guess it's only fair that his son turns out to be a mass murderer. Stephen Paddock's only recorded interactions with law enforcement were traffic citations. Stephen Paddock was a high-stakes gambler who placed bets at a high enough level to earn valuable comps, free benefits such as hotel rooms and meals. He was a familiar figure to casino hosts in Las Vegas, but was not well known among other high-stake gamblers because he mostly played single-player video poker. He repeatedly kept to himself and was a heavy drinker. Stephen Paddock had lost a significant amount of his wealth over the previous 2 years, but had paid off all gambling debts before the shooting. So, rumor going around is that Stephen Paddock was in financial trouble after paying off all the debts he had, and he was a severe alcoholic. And there is rumors out there that Stephen suffered from mental illness. So if you combine the three, then you could get a serious problem on your hands, and this could be the result of mass shooting. You've got someone that's struggling financially, he's got mental illness, and he's drunk and he's alcoholic. So he was probably drunk at the time of the incident, and when you're drunk, you're not thinking clearly. So when you're not thinking clearly, if you get evil thoughts, and when you're under the influence of alcohol, you're more likely to act on those evil thoughts than if you're sober. So in my opinion, I truly believe that it was his mental illness, it was his financial struggles, and his alcoholism that led to this mass shooting. However, there is no definitive cause. No definitive motive has been established for this case. So, right now we're going to talk about where the mass shooting took place. It took place in an area that was known, or actually is known, as the Las Vegas Strip. And the Las Vegas Strip is a stretch of Las Vegas Boulevard immediately south of the city of Las Vegas in Clark County, Nevada. The Strip is known for its concentration of casinos and resort hotels, including the 43-story Mandalay Bay Hotel, which is southwest of its intersection with Mandalay Bay Road in the unincorporated town of Paradise. Las Vegas Village, a 15-acre lot used for outdoor performances, was located diagonally across the intersection to the northeast. From 2014 onward, the venue hosted the annual Route 91 Harvest Country Music Festival. The 2017 festival ran from September 29th to October 1st. And October 1st, which was the day of the shooting, had over 22,000 attendees on the final day of the mass shooting and the final day of the concert. So let's talk about the preparation of the mass shooting by Stephen Paddock. This is actually his planning and his thought process heading into the actual shooting. So according to his girlfriend, Stephen Paddock repeatedly cased out Las Vegas Village from different windows in their room when they stayed at the Mandalay Bay a month before the shooting. Mr. Paddock also may have considered attacking previous events. He had researched large-scale venues in cities such as Boston since at least May 2017 and had reserved a room overlooking the August 2017 Lollapalooza Festival in Chicago, but did not use it. From September 17th, Mr. Paddock stayed at the Ogden in downtown Las Vegas, which overlooked the open-air Life is Beautiful festival that ran from September 22nd to the 24th. Mr. Paddock's internet search terms from mid-September included SWAT weapons, ballistics chart 308, SWAT Las Vegas, and do police use explosives? So Mr. Paddock had been planning this out for some time. So Steve Paddock arrived at Mandalay Bay on September 25th, 2017, and booked into room 32135, a complimentary room on the 32nd floor. 4 days later, he also checked into the directly connected room 32134. Both suites overlooked the site of the concert at Las Vegas Village. During his stay at Mandalay Bay, Paddock spent much of his time gambling, usually at night. He interacted with employees more than 10 times, including twice on the day of the shooting. An MGM Resorts International spokesperson said they were all normal in nature. Cell phone records show that he also made multiple visits to his home in Mesquite. With frequent help from hotel bellmen, he brought 5 suitcases to his room on September 25th, 7 on the 26th, 2 on the 28th, 6 on the 30th, and 2 on October 1st. His arsenal of weapons, associated equipment, and ammunition included 14 AR-15 rifles, some of which were equipped with bump stocks, and 12 of which had 100-round magazines, 8 AR-10 type rifles, a bolt-action rifle, and a revolver. On September 30th, he placed "Do Not Disturb" signs on the doors of both of his hotel rooms. So that's the preparation of the crime. Now we're going to get into the actual crime, which is the mass shooting that was committed by Mr. Steve Paddock. So let's learn about the crime right now. So the mass shooting occurred between 10:05 p.m. and 10:15 p.m. on October 1st, 2017, which was the third and final night of the festival. When the shooting began, country music singer Jason Aldean was giving the closing performance. Shortly before 10 p.m., hotel security guard Jesus Campos was sent to the 32nd floor to investigate an open door alert. He attempted to open a door that provided immediate access to the floor, but found that it would not open. After Campos entered the floor, he discovered an L-shaped bracket screwed into the door and door frame, which was responsible for barring the door from opening. After reporting the discovery to his dispatch center, he heard what he thought was the sound of rapid drilling coming from room 32135 and went to investigate the matter. At approximately 10:05 p.m., he was hit in the right thigh by one of about 35 bullets that Paddock fired through the door of his suit. After Campos was hit, he took cover in the alcove between rooms 32, 122, and 32, 124, and immediately informed the hotel by radio and cell phone that he had been shot, though he believed he had been shot with a BB or pellet gun. At the same time, maintenance worker Stephen Schuck was on the same floor to fix the door that Campos had reported as being barricaded. The already wounded Campos encountered Schuck and told him to take cover. Schuck contacted hotel dispatchers over his radio, informing them of the ongoing shooting and told them to call the police. Neither the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department nor MGM Resorts International, the Mandalay Bay's owner, have confirmed when information about the initial shooting was relayed to the police. After Mr. Paddock used a hammer to break two of the windows in both of his suites, he began shooting through them at 10:05 p.m. He ultimately fired over 1,000 rifle rounds, approximately 490 yards, into the festival audience. He initially started out with a few single gunshots before firing in bursts that usually ranged from 80 rounds to 100 rounds. Many people in the crowd initially mistook the gunfire for fireworks. During the shooting, a security fence hindered concertgoers from fleeing the 15-acre concrete lot. The gunfire continued with some momentary pauses over the span of 10 minutes and ended by 10:15 p.m. In addition to shooting at the concertgoers, Paddock fired 8 bullets at a large jet fuel tank at McCarran International Airport, 2,000 feet away. He was hoping that by firing at the fuel tanks, he'll cause it to explode. 2 of those bullets struck the exterior of the tank, with 1 bullet penetrating the tank. However, the fuel did not explode because jet fuel is mostly kerosene, which is unlikely to ignite when struck by a bullet. During the shooting, police officers were initially confused whether the shots were coming from the Mandalay Bay, the nearby Luxor Hotel, or the festival grounds. There were also multiple false reports of additional shooters at other hotels on the Strip. Officers eventually spotted multiple flashes of gunfire from the middle of the northern side of Mandalay Bay and responded to the hotel. At 10:12 p.m., 2 officers on the 31st floor reported the sounds of gunfire on the floor above them. When officers arrived on the 32nd floor at 10:17 p.m. and encountered Campos a minute later, he directed them to Paddock's room and helped others evacuate. Campos was then directed to seek medical attention for himself. Between 10:26 and 10:30, 8 additional officers arrived at the 32nd floor. Some of these officers manually breached through the door Paddock had screwed shut with the bracket. The gunfire had ceased and the police moved systematically down the hallway, searching and clearing each room using a master key that was provided by Campos. At 10:55 p.m., the officers finished evacuating guests. At 11:20 p.m., police breached room 32-135 with explosives. Stephen Paddock was found dead on the floor from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Police then breached room 32-134 while entering the hotel suite. An officer accidentally fired a 3-round burst from his weapon, but luckily the bullets did not hit anyone. At 11:27 p.m., officers announced over the police radio that a suspect was down. There were 61 deaths, including that of suspect Paddock. 61 people lost their lives. The immediate fatalities comprised 58 victims, 36 women and 22 men, all of whom died from gunshot wounds. The oldest was 67 and the youngest was 20. 34 were from California, 6 from Nevada, 4 from Canada, 2 from Alaska and Utah, and 1 each from Arizona, Colorado, Minnesota, Massachusetts, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Washington State, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. 31 of the victims were pronounced dead at the scene, while 27 succumbed to their wounds at the hospital, with the last of those dying on October 3rd, 2 days later. Stephen Paddock's suicide was the only death at the Mandalay Bay Hotel. The incident was the deadliest mass shooting committed by an individual in the United States, exceeding the death toll of the 2016 Orlando nightclub shooting, in which 49 people lost their lives. Approximately 867 people were injured, 411 of them with gunshot wounds or shrapnel injuries. In the aftermath, many victims were transported to area hospitals, which included University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, Sunrise Hospital and Medical Center, and at least one of the 6 hospitals of Valley Health System. Sunrise Hospital treated the largest portion of the wounded, 199 patients, 150 of whom arrived within a time span of about 40 minutes. And that is the horrific crime case and the mass shooting committed by Stephen Paddock in the 2017 Las Vegas mass shooting situation. All right. So now I'm going to bring on our crime analyst, Mr. Michael Petty. And Michael is going to share his thoughts on this case. So let's bring on our crime analyst right now. Michael, how are you doing today, sir?
Hello. Hello, Alex.
How are you?
I was just sitting here. I'm sorry. I was listening to everything you were saying. And I'm telling you, man, this will go down in history as one of the worst mass shootings ever.
I agree. It's awful. I don't know if it's been surpassed as the worst yet, but it definitely is in one of the top 5.
I agree. And that guy, that guy did a lot of planning on this. And you got to give a lot of thanks to that to that security guard, excuse me, and that maintenance worker for hailing him for probably stopping him from committing more mass murders than he did, because had they not happened to have gone up there and been on that scene, Lord knows how many more people he would have killed, Alex.
I agree. I often wonder what his motive was. It never was discovered what his motive was, but I think it could have been a combination of financial issues, mental illness, and also his alcoholism.
I agree. You got to put alcoholism and definitely mental illness in there. And, I don't know. I'm sure the police did from start to finish a carbon copy of his life and what led up to all that. You know what I mean? Because that is what any police department does when you get uh, mass shootings like this. They'll go dive into their life, and they'll go back years and years and see what's led up to this and why they did what they did. And on top of that, he bought all those AR-15s too, and that should have started putting a an eye opener on all these. I mean, grant you're not limited to guns, but when you start buying an excessive amount of them, Alex, that should open anybody, unless he bought them at different places. I'm sure he probably did, some here, some there. But if he bought them all in one place, if I was at a gun dealer, I would have been calling the police and letting them know that this guy's bought a lot of weapons, and you might ought to better look into him and see what he's buying these weapons for and what he plans on. Of course, you don't know what he's planning on doing with them, but you could they could have maybe delved into his background then, but I'm sure he didn't buy them all in one place. He probably bought some of those AR-15s here, AR-15s there, and everything, because there is no reason on earth why you need that many AR-15s at all. And usually, hindsight would tell me, being a former law enforcement officer, that you're going to be using them for weapons to commit mass destruction with, and to commit a lot of murders with.
That's true. Aren't they supposed to undergo like a medical or a mental evaluation when they're buying guns?
Uh, it depends on what a lot of states got implemented. Most states do have that. Texas has got that, and I'm sure that Las Vegas has got it too. The state of Nevada has got that too, where you got to go undergo a series of you know of tests, and you got to do a bunch of batteries of tests, and whatnot. But I'm not up on their laws and so much in Nevada as I am here in Texas, being that I was in law enforcement here. But I'm sure that they've got the same laws there as they do here. I would want to hope they do anyway, but because that was an eye opener. That had to have been eye. Somebody should have seen that coming when he was buying all those AR-15s. Of course, I don't know how you can prevent that being an eye opener. Like I said, and I'll keep repeating that, if you're buying some here and some there, because gun dealers don't have no idea that they've already bought some here and some there, unless, like I say, unless they've bought them all in one place. Now, if you buy them all in one place like that, that's a sheer determination on an eye opener that he's going to be using them to carry out nothing but heinous crimes and murders.
That's true. Imagine you're the supplier of those guns and you find out that one of your customers has just committed a horrible crime. I have to imagine it'd be awful.
It would, Alex. But you know what? You can't really hold them liable. I would feel awful bad, because it's just like a car dealership. Imagine a person going out with a car, because a car is as lethal as a weapon is. You can go out, not kill as many people with a car as you can with a firearm, though, because once you disable that car and it can't run any longer, then you can't kill any more people with it. But it's just like that. They can go out and commit Harry Carey with a car just like they can a gun. I mean, well, in essence, they could, because they could go run over a lot of people with a car and keep on going. So, and that car dealership would feel bad, just like the gun dealership would, for them for that person using their weapons they sold or made and carrying out uh, mass murders like that. But it's a real bad thing. It's been come to the forefront of our country now. Alex, because they're those kind of things are being targeted in big groups now. Concerts, churches, um, any kind of get clubs, nightclubs. I mean, anywhere there's a lot of people gathered, it's just a recipe for a disaster for somebody who wants to that's got mental problems, and it wants to go out in a blaze of glory, and it wants to go and just kill a whole bunch of people. I mean, we've got all kind of stuff going on in Texas right now, where law enforcement agencies meet all the time about these certain kind of things happening, and churches have now got to where they have had to have, and that's something you would have never thought about in in our lifetime, churches having to have armed security there. We've got armed security at our church now because look what just happened not too far from where I live just a few weeks ago at a Jewish synagogue here in Colleyville, where that terrorist almost was holding about 4 people and the rabbi hostage. But thank God he didn't get to carry out any murders there, because they kept negotiating with him. The hostage negotiator did back and forth, but he was getting agitated the whole time. And but as it happened, it ended. It didn't end peacefully, but it ended where they had to kill him, and it did end peacefully where he wasn't able to kill anybody that he had in. He was holding hostage. So thank God that ended the way. The way it should have. It should have never happened, but it ended the way it should have, where he wasn't able to hurt anybody.
That's true. So, in a way, I think from this crime and some of the other mass shootings, I think any future events like concerts and stuff, there's probably going to be a lot of armed security now so that it could prevent mass shootings in the future from happening.
Oh, definitely. They've got security ramped up and beefed up everywhere now but it's not ever going to be able to completely eliminate that, Alex. It's just going to take away the potential of them being able to uh, do what they intend on doing is killing a massive amount of people, because uh, it won't never stop it, but they can limit the damage on it, and that's what they're there to do. They're there to stop it, but stopping it, well, that's going to be a hard thing to do. But limiting the damage, that's something they can do.
That's true. It's awful that some of these crimes are happening, and they tend to happen every year. Every year, there's always a mass shooting.
Always at some place that you would never. I mean, you can go into a grocery store. If you let yourself go, and if you were that in fear of getting killed or something, then you would just stay in a bubbled world, stay inside your house and never come out. But you can't do that because you've got to go to the store, you've got to get food, you've got to, and you're going to go to places, sporting events, you're going to go to concerts, you're going to go anywhere. And anywhere there's a massive amount of people like that, Alex, is going to be the possibility for some maniac, crazed maniac, to be there to carry out an awful, heinous crime like that. But I go with the when I go to a place like that, my head's always on a swivel. Being in the kind of work I've been in all my life. I'm always looking at the exits, the entrances. I mean, you can't look at all of them because there's probably so many, but I'm always very aware of my surroundings and looking around, and people are going to have to learn how to do that, even ones that are not had the training that I've had, because in order to stay alive in this world now, you're going to have to, and it's a sad way that we've come to had to live, but it's just that kind of lifestyle we've come equivalent to, because you're going to have to keep your head on a swivel and always be aware of your surroundings. Look who's around you, look to the left, look to the right, look in front, look to the back, and look at the entrances, the exits, and make sure, nothing seems out of the ordinary, but you're never going to be able to see it coming because they're going to hide like this guy did up on a 34th floor, from a far away. And they're going to have scopes on their weapons, and those AR-15s and everything can reach from a real long distance. So, you know, it's not, you're never going to prevent it, but hopefully law enforcement has got it down to a science now where they can minimize it from, um, taking out too many people at one time, because you're never going to stop it, because stopping it, to be able to stop it, you got to know where it's going to start. You got to be able to have a crystal ball and be able to look in and say, well, this guy's going to go here this day and time, and he's going to do this, and he's going to kill this many people. You know, nobody's got that capability, but you know what? They got the sources, because we've told, and people have been trained, and we've talked to people in law enforcement before. If you see something, say something. If something's out of the ordinary, say something. They report it. The police are there real quick, to hopefully head it off before it becomes a disaster.
That's a good point. I was talking to someone before the broadcast today, and they were telling me that sometimes you can tell when someone's going to do a mass shooting because they're very suspicious. But I found not to be the case. Sometimes these mass shooters will act like ordinary people. They'll actually be very nice. They'll tip people like hotel porters and go out of their way to make people think they're nice people. And then they turn out to be like Stephen Paddock and commit these mass shootings and these horrible crimes.
I agree 100%. Look, he was down there gambling, being nice to people, just fitting in, and going about his average, ordinary, run-of-the-mill day, and how did anybody know he was going to carry out those mass shootings like that? How did nobody knew that? So this guy you were talking to, whoever it was, yeah, a lot of times you can detect somebody that being his body language will give him away, or whatnot, maybe or whatnot. But a lot of times it can, and most times it won't, though, because they'll just blend in with society. Because you don't know, nobody looks like a massive serial killer. What does a massive serial killer look like? You don't know. They don't have a face that says, I'm going to kill you and got written all over you. You're just going to go and, do your business. When you do that, and you're going to, commit all these massive shootings, and massive killings, but whoever that was you talked to is right to a certain degree, but not always. You're not going to always be able to sense that. I mean, you can sense their body language. You can sense a lot of stuff on, and if they're carrying a lot of different kind of equipment with them too, like long gun cases or long baggage, that's a red flag right there. Anything they're carrying that looks out of the ordinary, I mean, anything can be a red flag. So, you see something, say something, call the police, and let them investigate it.
I'm glad you brought that up, because if the hotel porters had acted on all the stuff that he was bringing to the hotel, I think this could have been prevented, because each night that he was staying, he was bringing up different duffel bags and stuff.
Well, agree. And you got so many people, you got the doorman, you got the bellman up there, you got so many people coming in with different baggages, coming in, they're traveling and whatnot, staying there. But if you see something, I agree with you 100% about that. If you see something, a kind of baggage that looks out of the ordinary, they're not trained to look at that, though, like we are, so, probably to them, it just looked like any ordinary other kind of luggage, but to us, we know what to look for, we know what it looks like. So, we would be able to spot that real quick, but a regular average person, some people could, even regular average person could maybe see it as suspicious, and call in and say something. But like I say, he was bringing it up every night for several nights. And, that would have, to me, wouldn't have looked right there, because the same guy bringing up luggage every night, I said, hey, what happened to you just bringing your main luggage up that you're traveling with? Why are you bringing so much luggage up every night,
True. I know, like, most of these mass shootings only happen in a matter of minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes. But how do so many people get injured at these mass shootings?
Well, because there's a crowd of them, and he could just open up and just pick them off like clockwork. I mean, they're so close together, and those things will shoot. Those magazines will hold, in a AR-15 will hold almost 30 rounds at a time. So you figure you could knock off, if you're a very good shot and you're a very good marksman, you could pick off a matter of 20 people in seconds, before somebody would even know what's going on, you know.
I know it's horrific. Police are trained not to run in the line of fire in a mass shooting, right? They're supposed to wait a few minutes.
Well, they're going to see real quick and seize up where that because they can see the noise and they can real quick look around their peripheral vision and see where that's coming from real quick, you know, because they got a good aerial view of where it's coming from, and they'll be able to spot it by the sound of it and the location of it, you know, and they'll get a heads up on that where it's coming from real quick, and they won't run right into it, but they're going to run to where it's coming from, and they're going to run and do their best to take him out and take them down as quick as they can, you know.
That's true. So the next thing I want to talk about, I know you've been in law enforcement for a number of years. So what would you recommend if people get caught in a mass shooting situation? What should they do?
Run and get under, duck and get under cover as quick as you can, and get away from the where he's shooting from. You know, I guess if there's any kind of cover you can get under, that's the advice any cop, any law enforcement give them: duck and get under cover as quick as you can. Because if you can find cover to get under, and something that he can't get you, shoot you. I mean, you don't want to stay out in the open, man. You know, as soon as you see something going on like that, and you see people going down, and you've seen people get shot, and you'll know what's going on real quick, because you'll see people bleeding, you'll see people falling out. You'll want to run away from that and get under cover as quick as you can. You don't want to run towards it. You'll want to run away from it and find and duck and get under cover as quickly as possible and safely as you can.
That's very well said. I've actually had in high school they did like a shooting test, and I was always taught to run for the exit, and if the shooter is near you, throw objects at him or fight for your life with him.
Well, in that case, Alex, you're right. It's fight or flight. You know, if you can't get out, you know, if you got a desk, if you can pick that desk up, throw it at him. If you've got any kind of weapon in there you can use to your advantage, throw it in. But the best thing to do is find cover and get away from it. If there's a window there, if you're in school, knock that window out and get out of the window, get out, take a desk, anything you have to, and knock that window out and get out the window, you know, any way you have to do it, you know, because you're in a fight for your life when you're with something like that, you know, and you could take any kind of weapon you can, a desk or anything you can, and knock that window out and get out that window, or, you know, or get under, I would say get under the desk, but if he comes in that room, he's going to see you under that desk, and he's just going to shoot you, you know, unless he can't see under that desk. Chances are they're going to look under the desk anyway. But, you know, I'm just saying, you know, in a situation like that in school, in these school shootings, you know, they're taught to, they're doing mass drills now of, you know, exercises all the time, what to do if they get an active shooter come in there, you know, but nowadays it's getting harder and harder for them to come in because they lock the schools down now. Once everybody gets in there, and the school in the morning time when the buses get there and everything, they've gotten all the pupils in the school. And plus they got school resource officers there now too. Some schools got 2 or 3 resource officers on them at a time, you know. Plus in our state now, I don't know, in some states they're even sending a lot of the teachers to get certified weapons training to be able to carry a weapon in case something like that happens if they have a mass shooting in school, as well as having a school resource officer there, you know. So, you know, they're implementing all kind of practices and all kind of safe procedures to do now in these schools that they can work up, you know, to where they'll keep the students safe as possible, you know, and they're doing drills all the time of what to do if they do get if a mass person was able to penetrate in there, even when they lock the doors, then, you know, I'm sure that they're teaching to, you know, they're hiding their, that's the first thing to teach them to do. But if they have to get out of that room, is any way they can, knock the window out, with a chair, with a desk, anything, and to get out, get away from them as quick as they can, you know.
Very well said. So, have you ever encountered like a mass shooting in your law enforcement career?
That stuff didn't happen that bad when it really hadn't started really uh, rearing its ugly head when I was in law enforcement yet. Alex, it started taking place when, of course, I wasn't working in a big city like that. I was working in a small, I would say a small town, medium size, but in our town, we didn't, nothing really like that happened. But if you work in a big city, every day you're going to have that chance of that happening. Matter of fact, it did happen recently in the school, in one of the schools that in one, I know where that school is, in the town that I worked at, and he didn't get away with shooting that many people. He shot two people, but it did happen finally in the town that I worked at, and it just. But thank God that they got there real quick and they headed it off. And I think I can't remember. It was last year before that when it happened, and I was already gone. But the kid brought a weapon to school, and I can't remember if it was a AR-15 or if it was a pistol. I was watching on the news, but I can't remember which but he got mad at one of the kids, I think, because he was being bullied, and he shot. I think he just shot two people that day, but they acted on it real quick, and you're supposed to have these schools locked down now. Once everybody finally gets in there for class every day, and they got everybody in there finally, and they're supposed to have them locked down. But what good is that going to do if the person comes in there, they can shoot through that glass, and even though it's locked down, they're going to get in there. Locks, as you've always heard, locks are just to keep the honest people out. I mean, if you really want to get in someplace, you're going to get in there regardless, one way or another. I mean, it's just that way. So, your locks are only as good as what their people are good for. The good, honest people are not going to come in, but the ones that want to commit carrying massive mass shootings, and you're not going to, one way or another, they're going to get in. So it's just going to be that way. So you've got to take all these precautions, and believe me, police departments all over this United States, they're always in training for mass shootings and mass, and all these kind of stuff like this. I mean, it's horrible. It started with Columbine, and it's just like escalated, and it's just gotten worse and worse. And I don't see it with the way that we've turned our back on God and everything in society, Alex, and not teaching. And it all starts with in the home environment, I think, because I just don't see where this is it's gonna keep rearing its ugly head, and especially with this administration now too, trying to defund our police departments, and not thinking much of our police officers anymore. Because that's another thing I was going to get into. When you got people in our administration who don't care about law enforcement, well, how do you expect the average citizen to care about them? When you've got a president, the leader of our country, that does not care about law enforcement at all, then what do you expect society to care about them? I was just reading on the internet tonight, before I talked to you, those two officers that got killed 2 weeks ago in New York. I was reading an article about them. They were having a memorial for them, and guess who didn't show up? The president and vice president. They could care less to show up, because they're inserting. I just heard on the news the other night that, I don't know if you've heard of this man's name, but if you haven't, read up on him. You'll start hearing a lot more about him. George Soros is inserting people and inserting money into these blue states, which are Democratic states, and putting people in these positions to help defund these police departments, as sad as it is, and giving them money and power to help defund these police departments. And, the only thing that's standing between us and this country, and always has been, always will be, Alex, is law enforcement. We're becoming, if we didn't have law enforcement, it'd be anarchy, you know? And I don't know if our government wants that or what they want, but it seems like that's what they want really bad, because if they didn't want it, they wouldn't be defunding these police departments. You know, I mean, look at how bad the crime is, and look how much it's up in Chicago and New York and California. Just this weekend, our president that we had, he had a rally in Conroe, Texas here, and he hit on nothing but, I mean, he was hitting on nothing that Biden has done good for this country. The crime is out of control. It's escalating in this country. And the reason being, because they don't care anymore. These people go into stores and they'll just casually steal stuff and casually walk out with it, and nobody stops them. Because if the police do their job, they're in trouble. You know, that's just it, because they'll get fired, or they'll get, I mean, that's another story I could go into and talk about, Alex, and we could maybe hopefully do a podcast on that, because, you know, it sickens me to my stomach what's going on with law enforcement and our administration and our government these day and times, because they're having a fight on their own hands with them alone, you know, as well as trying to fight and protect the government and protect the citizens of this country as well. I'm sure that you've been seeing what's going on with all that, haven't you?
Yes, absolutely.
And being a former law enforcement officer, that makes me sick to my gut, you know, that they're having to go through all that, you know. That's another reason why I got out of it early when I did, because I kind of saw this coming, and I didn't want to get fired or being brought up on charges for doing my job, you know.
It's awful. I have to say that Joe Biden is an ass clown, and Kamala Harris is a stupid bimbo.
Well, you got what you got. They stole this election, and you're exactly right. I could call them worse than that. I've called them so many names, and it sickens me to my gut, because I was in the military as a police officer as well as civilian life. And you know what? They don't like me because they don't like the military, and they damn sure don't like the law enforcement. Because if he did like the military, when he ended that war last year, I know we're getting off from this thing that we're talking about, and getting something else, but when he ended this war last year in Afghanistan, and he said the buck stops with him, well, it damn sure did. Look the way he ended that. He was an ass clown for the way he ended that. He left all our damn equipment over there. He left military. He left civilians over there. He left military working dogs over there. He left everything over there. He didn't give a shit at all what he left over there. He even left some of the Afghanistan people over there that helped us out, that gave us dire, good information, that were working with us and our military. He left them over there to root, hog, or die, and he left them over there to get killed, because he knew that when the Afghanistan army found out that they were helping us, they would kill them. And believe me, they had ways. They were going door to door after it had all ended, and they were going door to door with people over there, finding out who helped us out during that war. And when they found it out, they were killing them. And we didn't even give them thanks by helping them get out. That's how much Biden cared about anybody. Biden don't give a shit about nobody but himself. Biden is detached. He's mentally deranged. He's demented. If you'll listen to Fox News, they're throwing those words around like bombs, man, because he is mentally deranged. He is mentally detached, you know.
I agree 100% with you. He does not deserve to be president.
Well, like I say, right now, law enforcement's fighting two fights on two fronts. They're fighting a fight to keep the criminals in jail, and they're fighting a fight to keep crime down in this country, as well as keeping their jobs and not getting defunded by this no account piece of shit government we got. And they're fighting them as well, as you know, to try to, you know, we got to keep standing behind our law enforcement. And I back my brothers in blue all the time, and I go up and tell them all the time what a good job they're doing. And I feel sorry for them, and I pray for them every night and every day, because I said, I'm a former brother in blue, and I said, I don't even know how you're going through what you're going through nowadays, fighting the crime itself and fighting our government on top of that to keep your job, you know.
I agree 100% with you. I want to thank you for being on the show today. I had fun talking with you again.
Well, I always have fun with you, Alex, and it's been a pleasure. And I wish didn't want to get off on this tangent about this. I want to talk more about that mass shooting there. But you know what? It's just law enforcement right now has got a lot on their hands because they're fighting this stuff with people like him, and then they're fighting to keep their job too because this government is wanting to do nothing. The government's not their friend. The government does not like law enforcement because you got that ass clown that used to be, no, she used to be the Attorney General of California. Before I leave tonight, I want to tell you something. She was letting mass murderers out of prison there. She was letting child molesters, serial rapists, murderers. She was letting them out of prison when she was the Attorney General of California. And who was she putting in prison? People that did not even deserve to be there. And that's what's going on in all these blue states right now with all these attorney generals. They're letting people, they're doing just exactly what she did, letting those kind of people out of prison and putting people in prison that don't belong there. And so the cops are fighting a fight that they can't win right now because every time they put these people in prison, these dumbasses are just letting them right back out on the street again, you know?
I agree 100% with you. So, for all of our viewers out there, this coming Thursday, February 3rd, 2022, at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to host a special episode of On the Case, and I'm going to have my very first special guest, and that's Michael Petty, who will be telling us about his career as a law enforcement officer. So, this coming Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, join us for a fun episode where Michael will tell us about his career as a law enforcement officer. I'm really looking forward to that interview.
I am too, Alex, and I'll let you know all about what I did and how it was. And you know, it wasn't. I'm going to close with this. It wasn't that bad when I was in law enforcement. I didn't have my I didn't have my hands handcuffed by the government so much when I was in law enforcement as the cops do now. Because with everybody's got cell phones now, they can take pictures of you when you're doing your job out there now, and you're taking somebody to the ground, and they can call and take it to the media, and then media will blow it up, and before you know it, they're labeled as racist. They're labeled as cops that are just wanting to be. They're not good cops. They're bad cops, and all they're doing is taking somebody to the ground. And a lot of times, as I'll say when we talk, these people don't know what they're talking about because everything happens within a split second when you're a cop. When you're a cop, you've got to act quickly and fastly. There's no, you can't sit there and just think a second because if you do, your second's going to get you killed or somebody else killed. But we'll talk about that when I talk to you on that Thursday. But, you know, that's another story too. But I've really enjoyed this tonight, and I can't wait to do that with you Thursday.
Me either. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. So next Monday on our next crime case, I'm going to talk about the McDonald's massacre that was committed by James Haburdi many years ago. It was in California at a McDonald's. I believe it was in the late 80s. And we'll talk about that on Monday, February 7th, 2022 at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Thank you, Michael, for being a wonderful guest on today's show.
Well, thank you, Alex, and I'll look forward to that next Monday too. And hopefully, I can give you some. I'm going to try to start really studying up on these cases. I know about them, but I've just they're so long ago and so many of them. You know, I just got to go back and do my due diligence on them, and we'll really start diving deeper into them. You know, and I'll get up to speed on a lot more of these. You know, so as it goes along, I can't wait to even do more of them with you. You know.
Absolutely. I'll definitely send you some information so that you'll be able to react to them.
Well, I sure do appreciate that, and I love doing this with you, Alex, and I look forward to doing a lot more of them with you. And I really appreciate you again having me on as your co-host again tonight.
My pleasure. It's a lot more fun. I think it's what makes my crime shows much better instead of just me going off the information.
Well, I hope that they get some satisfaction out of this. You know, I mean, I'm just going off by my point of view and what from a cop's point of view, and letting what they would do and what they would look for, and what the kind of stuff that looks out of the ordinary to a cop that probably wouldn't look out of the ordinary to a natural ordinary citizen.
Very well said. So I want to thank everybody for watching today's episode of On the Case with Alex Cardinelli. I remind all of you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinelli. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinelli, for our wonderful interview on Thursday and all future episodes of On the Case. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you on Thursday for our special edition of On the Case with Alex Cardinelli. Hey everyone, it's your favorite man, Legendary Alex Cardinelli here. Love is in the air. Why is that? Well, Valentine's is right around the corner. I cordially invite you to be a part of the inaugural Valentine's 2022 Bash, hosted by me, the man you love, Legendary Alex Cardinelli. Come be a part of the inaugural Valentine's Day Bash live Saturday, February 12th, 2022 at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Come celebrate Valentine's in style with me, Legendary Alex Cardinelli. I have a lot of fun action planned on Valentine's weekend with the Valentine's Bash. Chef Alex Cardinelli is going to make an appearance on the Valentine's Bash. You can see Chef Alex Cardinelli make a perfect Valentine's breakfast as he makes red velvet waffles with a delicious cream cheese icing that is going to make your mouth water. Really delicious. And I'll also make my homemade chocolate lava cakes. Chef Alex will appear on the Valentine's 2022 Bash, and you can only see Alex make the red velvet waffles with the cream cheese icing and the homemade chocolate lava cakes on Valentine's Bash on Saturday, February 12th at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinelli. Also planned for the Bash, I will discuss my ideal soulmate. I will discuss fun Valentine's Day activities that you and your partner can do on Valentine's Day and more. So this is going to be an awesome night for love and fun. Happy Valentine's, everybody. Join me live Saturday, February 12th at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, right here on my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinelli. Hey everyone, it's me, Legendary Alex Cardinelli, inviting you to be a part of the biggest party of the year. Literally, this is the biggest party I will ever throw. It is the biggest celebration I will ever host. I am proud to announce on Sunday, March 6, 2022, I will officially celebrate my 8th year as a YouTuber. In 2014, I started my YouTube channel as a platform to promote my fish keeping podcast. Fast forward 8 years later, over 16,000 subscribers, my YouTube channel is succeeding. Not only do I do fish keeping videos, but I also do cooking videos, crime videos, professional wrestling videos, and more. My YouTube channel is now my podcast channel. So, we are going to celebrate 8 years of hard work in style, and I cordially invite you to be a part of my 8-year YouTube anniversary, airing exclusively on YouTube Sunday, March 6th, 2022, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Here is the lineup for the biggest party of the year. 2 of my lucky subscribers will win a $80 Texas Roadhouse gift card. All you need to do is be an active subscriber. That means you watch my videos, you like my videos, and you comment on my videos. 8 of my active subscribers will be put in a drawing, and 2 of those 8 subscribers will be chosen live on the 8-year YouTube anniversary and will be announced as the winners of the 8-year YouTube anniversary giveaway, and they will win an $80 Texas Roadhouse gift card. And when I say legendary, I mean legendary. There are going to be some legendary special guests. The first legendary guest is the owner and founder of Aquatic Rarities, aka Malone's Monsters, Bob. Bob will be our first fish keeping guest on the 8-year YouTube anniversary. The interview will be filmed on location from his fish store in Boca Raton, Florida. The second guest is a longtime friend of mine, one of my very first fish keeping guys that I interviewed on my Aquatic Wetline podcast. My second guest is Blue View Aquatics owner Josh Rodriguez from Western Massachusetts. Josh is doing a great job promoting the aquarium hobby in New England, and I'm proud to have him on such a huge accomplishment of mine, considering that he was instrumental in making Aquatic Wetline a huge success a number of years ago, and now it is my honor to have him on my YouTube channel for the first time. My third guest is a legendary guest. He is the founder of the hit series Dinners, Drive-Ins, and Dives on Food Network. The third guest is Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives founder David Page. David will talk to us about American food, the creation of diners, drive-ins, and dives, and a whole lot more cooking and baking and food talk. My final guest will be a professional wrestling museum owner and WWE fan, Mike Parker. Mike will talk to us about what it's like to own a wrestling museum and how long he's been a professional wrestling fan for. Those are our legendary guests. But if I'm going to do a legendary celebration, there has to be a legend in the house, and there has to be a Hall of Famer in the house. I am really proud to announce the first time, not only in my YouTube career, but also in my podcasting career, that I'm going to have a celebrity on my video stream. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce there will be an appearance by the hardcore legend and WWE Hall of Famer, Mick Foley. Mick Foley will appear live on my 8-year YouTube anniversary. You can also expect appearances from Chef Alex Cardinelli, Aqua Alex Cardinelli, WWE fanboy Alex Cardinelli, and Detective Alex Cardinelli. Chef Alex will cook a prime rib and bake a delicious Twix cheesecake and a Reese's peanut butter cake. Aqua Alex will discuss all the tropical fish species he's kept over the last 8 years and more. WWE fanboy Alex Cardinelli discusses his dream WrestleMania 38 card and some awesome surprises. What will Detective Alex Cardinelli do on the 8-year YouTube anniversary? What surprises will there be on the biggest party of the year? Literally the biggest live stream of 2022. You got to tune in to find out. Sunday, March 6, 2022, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, exclusively only on YouTube. So tune in Sunday, March 6, 2022 at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on YouTube. It will only air right here on YouTube. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinelli, right now so you don't miss a minute of the action on the biggest party of the year, Sunday, March 6th.